Hey, welcome back to my car shop. On today's tech tip, we're going to be talking about do's and don'ts with sandblasting. Let's watch the 30-second show intro, and I'll see you on the other side.
Working out of a 100-year-old refurbished barn, bringing 35 years of experience to projects considered beyond repair. Vision, creativity, and problem solving are essential tools in this place. Watch as we transform junk into polished metal miracles. This is My Cars Shop.
All right, so I'm obviously not intending this to be a complete how-to for sandblasting, but in the last episode on the 70 Challenger, I had mentioned a few things about sandblasting. I think that was it. Maybe it was the fender on the 66 Belvedere. I don't know. Been doing so much work, I can't remember. But anyway, Eric Dudman from Duddy's Adventures had just made some comments about sandblasting and so forth. And out of the conversation, we thought it'd be a good idea if I just did a brief discussion about sandblasting. So first of all, I'll show you the sandblasters that I have, and then we'll talk about do's and don'ts. The first thing you've seen me use probably many times if you've watched all the shows on the channel is this abrasive sandblasting cabinet. So you want to make sure that you get the proper abrasives to use in this cabinet. You can see there's a warning here. It says do not use any sand or silica-based abrasives with this machine. Blah, 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 blah. So make sure that you get the correct products that are recommended. I do not remember what I'm using in here right now, but I know that our local Harbor Freight has all the products that you use in here, and I just go get it there when I get it. So there you go. Also, somewhere around here in a cabinet that I can't seem to find at the moment, I have what I call a spray gun type sandblaster for spot blasting little bitty spots. It's literally a siphon gun, and it looks just like a spray gun, and you put your sand in that and use it like a spray gun to do very, very small parts. But this is my main beast right here. I got this from Eastwood a few years ago. There may be some episodes on the channel where I'm using it. But I like this thing. Why did I go with the Eastwood brand? I wanted something quality. I had read some reviews on the Harbor Freight one, and while the price was nice, I wasn't crazy about some of the comments that were made about it. So I went ahead and bought the Eastwood product, this pressure blaster, and been very happy with it. The only downside to this is, like any other unit, it's not the unit itself. It's made a mistake one time of reusing some sand and ended up plugging up the nozzle and giving myself all kinds of grief. So don't be a cheapskate. Use clean sand, and you'll be fine with a unit like this. Also, safety. Not only it came with a kind of a cloth shield for over your head, but wear a dust mask and safety glasses as well. We'll get into that just here a second. So as I was mentioning, safety. Get yourself a good pair of goggles or glasses, safety glasses, side shields. Even when you are sandblasting with the shield on, it's recommended. Also, get yourself an N95 mask. I know they're a little bit hard to get right now with the pandemic and everything, but the dust from that's part of the warning on this cabinet over here. The dust from that sandblasting can give you, I think it's called silicosis if I remember right, but it can ruin your lungs. And so you want to be very careful. If you had a regular respirator with an air pack, that would be better. But I've never had one of those, so I always wear a good N95 mask and keep myself protected that way. So safety. But the whole point of this video really was more about what to sandblast and what not to sandblast. Heavy parts, stuff that's made out of cast, big thick material parts, brackets, things like that, you're fine sandblasting, but don't sandblast sheet metal, and I'll show you why here in just a second. Don't sandblast a gas tank. That's a new one. You'd be okay with that, but you're gonna get sand in it. So that's a no-no. Old ones, they're full of varnish inside, and I just believe there should be no sparks anywhere near a gas tank. And quite frankly, sandblasting, if you watch real careful, you'll see all kinds of little sparks happening as the material is cleaning off of there. So don't sandblast a gas tank, good Lord. You got to use your wisdom in that. One thing about sandblasting on cars is it creates a mess like you can't believe. I remember years ago when I was doing a lot more sandblasting than I do now, like sandblasting inner wheel wells and stuff like that. Those cars would drip sand for years and years and years and years because it just gets in everywhere and it's almost impossible to get out. If somebody has a good technique for getting out sand after sandblasting, I'm all ears, but my experience has been no matter how much you blow it out with a gun, and I mean, you take the car up and shake it like this if you could, but I don't think it ever all comes out. So just be thinking about that. Do you care if this thing's dripping sand everywhere it goes? And do you care about that sand getting in everywhere? But again, the main thing we want to talk about here to wrap this up is material warpage, and that's a big issue. So I'm going to take you upstairs to my part storage. I have an extra hood off of this car up there, which is the one I was, not this car isn't the one, but it's the type of hood I was talking about, and I'm going to show you exactly what happened with that customer's car a few years ago. All right, Allied, I'm not taking you upstairs. I don't know where I put that hood. I know I have two hoods for that 74, but here we are on two scoops, the 73 that we have here, and this is the exact same hood structure. So what the customer did was when they said about sandblasting the back of the hood, I thought they were talking about the sandblasting this stuff, which I wouldn't recommend even doing that. And but they not only sandblasted this, they went ahead and sandblasted all of this as well. And what it did was the heat and the way the material hits that, it causes this to shrink, and I think they shrunk that probably an inch. So the whole hood was just full of these diving big craters on the other side, which was a bleep for me to get fixed. I was able to fix it. I should have just demanded they get a new hood and told them to pound sand, but I didn't. Like a mistake, I'm always trying to make the customer happy, and I ended up making myself miserable in the process. So I wouldn't even recommend sandblasting this, just because I wouldn't want that sandblaster anywhere near anything that is exterior sheet metal. So, you can imagine if this was sandblasted, what that would look like on the other side. So structural like this, like I said, okay, as long as it's not backed by anything that is going to be exposed sheet metal that you're going to be near with any chance at all of hitting that accidentally and bringing warpage to that material. So as you can see here in the 70 Challenger, the floor is shot. I'm going to be replacing most of that, but there is a couple of pieces that are not too bad back in there. Of course, could I sandblast that? Sure, absolutely. Make sure the glass is out, or at least masked up and covered well, so that you don't end up etching your glass. But again, I'm not going to sandblast anything in this car. I'm going to do all this by hand with a wire wheel. It won't take long. It doesn't have to be perfect when you use a good chemical converter. You just want to get the loose scale off and then convert it chemically to stop it from rusting further in the future. So again, we're not trying to be comprehensive here, but things like engine brackets, battery trays, anything that bolts onto a car that's not an exposed piece of sheet metal that is either thick enough material that it won't warp, or if it does twist up a little bit, who cares? If I had a used floor pan, and I actually do outside the door here, that I may cut a piece of that out to put in this car rather than making all of it, I would sandblast that piece before I put it in there, but I wouldn't want to sandblast it in the car myself. When I did the floors on my 88 pickup, which we'll do a walkthrough on that sometime, I didn't sandblast anything. I wire wheeled it all down, rust converted it, shot it with bed liner on the inside, and good to go, done. I'm lazy. I don't like working harder than I have to, and quite frankly, sandblasting is a miserable process. So I hope these tips are helpful. Like I said, it's not intended to be comprehensive. As I do sandblasting, and I'm sure I will, I'll share more with you on the channel. But just because of Eric's in my conversation, I thought it'd be a good idea to do a quick tech tip on sandblasting. So thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Had the excitement today of getting our custom URL on YouTube, so it's youtube.com/mycarshop. Also on Instagram and Facebook /mycarshop. So we're universal. If you haven't subscribed, please do hit the bell for notifications. And one more thing, rock.